There's nothing better than a really solid horror game, one that draws you in, gets its claws in you, and never lets go. Something that's more than just jump scares and creepy lighting. Something that has the ability to sustain terror and anxiety all the way through. It takes something special to do that. My friends, I'm here today to talk about Amnesia: The Bunker, one of the best horror games I've ever played. Many viewers know my channel from my first-person shooter coverage, but my favorite genre is actually survival horror. I've got like 20 videos on Resident Evil, and soon I'll be talking about Silent Hill, so make sure you're subbed and have notifications on because you don't want to miss that one. Amnesia: The Bunker is a mix between classic Resident Evil, immersive sim, and Alien Isolation style stalker game, exploring a map section by section with some openness regarding what order you do things, a decent amount of backtracking, stealth, resource management, and problem solving. I'm gonna get into what's so great about it, and a critique here or there, but I'm letting you know right now, if you are interested in a hardcore survival horror experience, no spoilers, just go buy it now. And play it on normal first, because hard is made for replays when you know the map already. If you're a regular viewer and my recommendation means something to you and you're into this genre, turn off the video and just go play it. I will be getting into the gameplay of The Bunker, and that's what I would consider spoilers. The surprises of the game come not from the story, but from the situations you find yourself in, and the solutions to the main problems in front of you. Talking about what I like about this game means talking about the problem-solving aspect, and the best part of all of it is figuring out the solutions on your own, being surprised by the scenario in front of you and coming up with a smart solution. You've been warned. If this game interests you, watch no further. For the rest of you, we'll get into it. After a brief introduction sequence, running through the trenches in World War I, you're taken prisoner after getting knocked out by an explosion. You wake up in a bunker and everyone's dead. The lights are out and you have no supplies. You quickly find a flashlight and a gun and are introduced to a monster that's lurking in the walls. A central room has a lantern where you can save your game, an inventory chest to store your stuff, a map of the facilities, and a downstairs generator room where you can add fuel and keep the lights running. The map cannot be taken with you, and you can only hold 6 items, but smart, thorough exploration will reward you with up to 6 expansions. Your mission is to find 2 items, a bundle of TNT and a detonator handle. They're located in the arsenal and in the tunnels. Like one of my favorite survival horror games, Signalis, the flashlight takes up a precious inventory slot. And this World War I flashlight is absolute garbage. It has to be wound up and lasts not even a minute, maybe 30 seconds, I don't know. Winding it up makes a lot of noise and may attract the attention of the monster hiding in the walls. To avoid having to use the flashlight too much, you'll want to keep the generator on. Switches are found around the bunker to light up more areas, fuel canisters are found all over the place, and you can carry a timer on you to monitor exactly how long the fuel is going to last. As you explore and complete missions, you'll be making very hard decisions about whether you gather fuel or pick up resources like grenades, health, torches, etc. Do you need to defend yourself, or do you need to keep the lights on? You are able to see in front of yourself in the dark, a little, but walking around in the dark is a terrifying situation when you don't know these maps yet. And that's why not carrying a map on you works so well for this game. It makes illumination so much more important, and it really makes you want to keep fuel in the generator. The monster will come out if you make too much noise, but he won't wander around freely if the lights are on. As soon as they go off, you'll be dealing with them walking around, and it's so hard to complete your missions that way. This is a system that works beautifully. There are no saves outside the central save station and no checkpoints. It makes you play extremely cautiously as you're exploring each area because you don't want to alert the monster. But if you go too slow, you're burning fuel. 2 instincts fighting against each other creates wonderful moments of tension. And you might think about just doing a little bit of a mission, running back and saving, and then continuing, but playing that way burns a lot of fuel in the backtracking. It all comes together to inspire you to want to complete as much of a mission as possible before going back. And I'll tell you what, slowly moving through these spaces, 30 minutes away from my last save, when the generator shuts off and it's pitch black, I don't think I've ever felt so much fear in a video game. I want to congratulate Frictional Games on their design of the monster. It's horrifying and looks incredibly scary when sparsely lit. It made me constantly scared to make too much noise. It seems to rarely ever be scripted, instead dynamically responding to my actions, and it doesn't feel cheap. I rarely ever died to something I felt wasn't actually my fault. Coming from someone who never once found the alien in Alien Isolation to be convincing or scary, this Stalker AI is terrifying, fun, and interesting. He's an unkillable force, but will retreat after receiving damage or once he's lost your trail. You can use gas grenades or fires to keep him away from you, you can distract him with other sounds, but since he's so fast and can kill you instantly, you'll want to do your best to not draw his attention. You want to make sure to stop the bleeding if you're injured at any point, because if you hide from him and he smells blood, he'll find you. It never felt random when he discovered me in a dedicated hiding place like a closet or under a bed. The monster sometimes breaks stuff in the room or breaks open doors and can even open up other paths you can take as a result of pursuing you. As you're trying to avoid him while also trying to move along at a decent pace for fear of the lights shutting off, you gotta figure out exactly what you're doing. The central map circles the areas that contain the primary objective points, and points of interest are also added to the map, like a locked door or something, but aside from that, the rest is up to you to figure out. For me, it felt like just the perfect amount of information and assistance to create a fun and thoughtful experience, while not having to put waypoints and a list of mission objectives on the screen. There is no HUD. If you want to check your ammo, you have to hold reload and open the chamber to look at it. If you want to know if you're injured, hold the inventory button and you'll check if you're bleeding or not. They're really going for that serious, realistic immersion, and it works. So you've got several ways to deal with the monster, but you also have several ways to deal with other problems, and that's where the game really starts to shine. Some of you may have seen my video on the System Shock remake where I said that I was disappointed in the lack of immersive sim elements, wishing the missions were more than just looking for keys to open doors. Well, Amnesia the Bunker absolutely kills it in this area. Every wooden door can be destroyed if you feel that's the only way in at the time. You may find valuable resources, story notes, or alternate paths to where you're going. The first room you have to access shows this off. Spoiler for the first problem, but you've got to get into mission storage before you can do anything, and the doors are locked. Now, at this moment I wasn't looking for an alternate way in, so like an idiot I ran around this area for an hour looking for something else to do. Well, turns out there's a vent cover you can pull off right by the first door, and you just crawl in. But since I somehow never saw that, I spent 10 minutes pushing and rolling this explosive barrel I found, forcing it up the incline, which was not an easy task, fighting it all the way because it did not want to go up there, but I eventually got it to the upper level, pushed it over to the mission storage door, and blew the door open. I swear, no one is gonna do this, everyone is just gonna find the vent. But the fact that I was actually able to get this door open the other way was an amazing feeling. Grenades can be used to blow open doors, of course, and maybe you'll see an explosive barrel but you'll have no bullets. Hey, I've got some gas and a lighter, so I'll just soak the barrel in gas, light it up, and wait for it to ignite. If you find the code to unlock the shotgun, for which there is very little ammo, just blast it open like you're an 80s action star. You've also got the rat problem to deal with. They aren't everywhere, but they come out to munch on dead bodies. If you try to pass by them, they'll bite you and you start bleeding. Not good. So how do you deal with the rats? Light a torch and push them out of the way. Throw a Molotov cocktail on the body and set them ablaze. Shoot them, I guess, which is a waste of ammo because I only found like 12 handgun bullets in the whole game. Hell, take one of these bricks that are used to break open doors and hurl it at a rat and he'll run away. There's so many ideas that might occur to you that actually work. You're constantly rewarded for indulging your curiosity. With these rats here, I wanted to burn them, but I didn't want to have to sit and wait for the fire to go out, because there's fuel burning in the generator. So I threw a piece of meat to distract them, ran past, and then I burnt the body. Now I can keep moving along. And you want to burn the bodies if possible, because that means the rats won't come back. Clearing the rats away from corpses means you can pick up dog tags, which give codes for all the lockers and mission storage. There you'll find ammo, grenades, health, and required progression items. Some of the dog tags you find don't have codes on them, and you'll feel cheated that you wasted resources recovering them. But it's good to know that when you replay the game, the necessary dog tags are always in the same place. But the numbers are different every time, so you always have to play the game. However, you'll always want to check every dog tag because extremely helpful items like the gas mask and especially the lighter are locked behind codes that are found on dog tags that could be anywhere. Just because a dog tag you found is blank this time doesn't mean it's going to be blank on the next run. I've beaten it 3 times already, and I love that I can't just skip over the game by running straight to mission storage and unlocking everything. You gotta do the missions. On my latest run, I didn't find the code for the lighter until much later, so the section where I'd normally just light a torch and push all the rats away ended up requiring a different solution in the moment. So I emptied a gas can on one of the rat piles, threw 2 bottles filled with gas to soak the middle and the end of the tunnel, shot the gas puddle near the first body to ignite it, and then tossed a grenade to ignite the other 2 bodies further down the tunnel. I ran away when the monster came in because of all the sound, and when I returned, the tunnel was completely clear. These kinds of moments really elevate the game into something more than just a good survival horror game, and I'd like to see these immersive sim elements incorporated into other survival horror titles. Resident Evil 4 Remake actually started doing this. And the codes aren't the only thing that changes, items are also randomized to a degree. While most main objective items have fixed locations, resources change every time. Those bricks you can find to open doors, they change location with every new game. So you're not gonna beeline it straight to the brick to open the security door in the communications area. There is a brick here, but you have to cautiously explore the barracks before you find it. Extra cautiously because the traps change too. Tripwires, booby trap doors, they're different every time you play. It kept me on the edge of my seat even on playthroughs where I already knew exactly where I was going. Don't let the RNG nature of the game scare you away, it really does enhance the experience and makes replays infinitely entertaining. Puzzle solutions changing upon replay makes it fun to go through all the steps you already know you have to do. I'm gonna spoil one of the first missions here, so skip to this time if you don't want to hear it. In the barracks area, you have to find a key to the communications door. Inside the communications room is a radio that has to be powered by activating all the switches in the area. You could go for the power section first, or look for the key. In the security office, you see there's a shelf with a key symbol. You find your way into the office either by using a grenade or finding a brick to smash it in. Inside there's a note from a soldier talking about having the key at his bed. From here, you could go wandering the barracks in the dark, checking every one of the 24 beds, dealing with rats, traps, and making noise. Or, if you also break open the first door in this part of the map, you'll find a photo layout of the barracks, with each soldier's name, and now you know exactly which bed to check. Either approach to this problem is valid and has its pluses and minuses. But here's where I have to say there is an imperfection in this design, and it's one that I'd advise ignoring if you're looking for an authentic experience. If you collect information that you need, like where key items are or locker codes, and then you die and have to repeat the area, I suggest ignoring the information you already learned, and go ahead and retrace your steps so you're not repeating the area with an advantage. Treat your playthrough as if it were a deathless run. In the scenario I just described, if you find the note about the key location and the photo with the soldiers' names on the beds, and then you die at some point, don't reload and then use your knowledge to go straight for the bed. Go back and get the note and photo again. Make yourself go through all of the challenge of the mission without losing. It's a far more thrilling, albeit punishing adventure that way. As for difficulty, this game is brutal. I do not recommend playing on hard for your first attempt. A huge part of the challenge is figuring out where to go and dealing with the lights going out. Normal is a totally appropriate difficulty to do a first playthrough, and even though you may eventually end up with a bunch of leftover resources on normal, that can be the sign of a great survival horror game, and here it is. A survival horror game has done its job if you're hoarding all your resources out of fear of using them. You have 1 grenade on you, 2 back in storage, but you still look for a brick to break open the door because you just don't want to use those precious grenades. That's an effective survival horror game right there. Now, it isn't all praise, it's mostly praise. I think the game is fantastic, and I want to play it more to learn how to beat it faster. But there are a few issues. The collision is a bit annoying. Your character can get caught up on debris, or even a brick can give you problems if you're trying to walk past it. The method of interacting with doors and switches is to click and drag up or down, which I think is unnecessarily tedious and can cause some real frustration in life or death moments. And sometimes stuff just gets stuck. This locker refused to close, no matter what I did, and then there was a piece of wood keeping me from fully opening the locker next to it. So I ended up with this situation right here. I could interact with the piece of wood, but I could not move it. I threw a grenade into the corner and tried to blast it out, but it wouldn't budge. After the explosion, I was finally able to get it out by hand. Yeah, there are some frustrating geometry issues from time to time. There's a pretty bad exploit with item dropping. You can just drop anything you have right on the floor of the save room and it stays there forever, completely eliminating the need for an item chest and making the limited space inside it meaningless, because if something doesn't fit, just put it on the ground. Infinite storage. I'm not sure what can or should be done about this. My main criticism is the story. I don't care about it, and that's because Amnesia the Bunker does what every other horror game does these days: deliver the story through pages upon pages of notes. They are constant interruptions and almost never include important information for the missions. Whenever this happens, I always try to give the story a chance, but after the 15th note I've come across in 20 minutes, I grow impatient and say, okay, fuck your story if this is how you're gonna tell it. So I don't know what's happening in this game, and I no longer care. Did that negatively affect my experience? Not in the slightest. Hell, not knowing may even make it scarier. To wrap up, I want to tell you about something really funny that happened while I was showing this game to a friend. I was showing how the monster worked, the different ways to solve problems, and I got to the part in the prison where you open the cell doors, and I was taking my time checking all the cells for items. And when I got to the actual cell I needed to inspect, the lights went out. And it hadn't occurred to me that losing power would cause the cell doors to close. I panicked and I tried to get the last item from the cell quickly and get out, but it was too late. The door shut and I just sat there in silence. We looked at each other and I said, I guess I just die in this cell. There's no way out. The adventure just ends here if this happens to you. I don't know if there's a secret ending if you get stuck like this, but there should be. Amnesia the Bunker is a triumph of survival horror, beautifully integrating aspects of the immersive sim genre to create a uniquely engaging and terrifying experience. I recommend it without hesitation. The first game to shake my confidence in Resident Evil 4 taking my Best Game of the Year award. It's that good. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.